she was like, he owes me this amount of money. He knows that I need it for me and my kids. He promised that he was going to get it back for me, and he never did. So I'm about to air out all his shit. I said, what a mighty God we serve. I said, spill the tea, sis.
He got a girl. I'm taking score. He want us both. He's so unsure. Sometimes he's mine. Sometimes he's yours. But he back and he forth like a door on a store. I'm riding his mouth. Take it on tour. Hit him up when I want him like Tupac Shakur. Said he never seen nothing wetter before. It's fat and it's pretty. It's flaws of couture. Yeah.
All right, you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to have you here in this space with me, finally, to talk about something that I have literally been putting off for upwards to 5 whole years. Okay. And with good reason, because, child, my business is not necessarily something that I like to put out there. But also, I felt like the reason why I didn't speak about it right when it happened is because I'm a firm believer in not speaking about anything online that you are not healed from. Okay? People on the internet say anything at all. And so if you're not healed, by the way, there's a beep in this house somewhere and I don't know where it is. So my apologies from now. If you are not truly healed from something and you put it out on the internet in a world where everybody just says anything out their mouth, you will probably be in a corner by tonight crying, bawling your face off because people are really ruthless. And so if you do not give yourself the time to heal, the time to like really understand what even happened, the time to move on, then people can use your own business as a weapon on you. And I'll be damned, honey. I'll be damned because there's not shit none of y'all can say that will make me feel away now. So that's why it's time to talk. So I got my drink. Okay, I'm not drinking it, even though it is 5 p.m. somewhere right now. I'm drinking my little Starbs, okay, in a cute cup. It's girl talk. We're gonna talk about everything. So I put out a question box on my Instagram story just the other day, well, yesterday. And I basically was like, listen, I'm ready to talk about it. You guys let me know what you want to know about the situation. Because, over the years, people have like made hints. People have been like, yo, what happened to the wedding? What happened to your engagement? And some people are like, wedding? Engagement? Because over the years I've gained, an amazing family and community in you guys, and many of you know because you're OGs, but then some of you are like, wait, what? Engagement? A wedding? It being called off? A ring? You gave it back? They want to know all the tea. And so I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I would want to know all the tea too. So, within reason, I am going to share as much information as possible. I'm going to be as transparent as possible while still keeping in mind that, the families that the family that I was able to be a part of at the time, there are still people that I love very much. And, I once loved them in a different way, but I still respect them. And so I want to protect them. So there's certain things that I will not share. But for the most part, what y'all want to know, I'm going to share it. Because the reality is, it's 5 years later. People have grown, people have changed. I'm sure I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But I'm still going to tell my truth and I'm still going to tell my story. Period. You guys did not let up with the questions. Okay. I told you guys to ask me anything, and y'all did not let up. Y'all did not hold back. So I got a list of questions here. Okay, you guys. Hella questions that you guys left me, and we're just gonna get through them. So a lot of the questions were like, wait, I didn't even know that you were engaged. I didn't even know that you were getting married. I didn't even know. I didn't even know. So I'm gonna give you like a short story time, just so that everybody could be on the same page. And then we're gonna go into the tea because y'all uno fast, uno very, very, very fast. Okay? Ask your Jamaican friend what that means. It feels like so long ago to me. I cannot even believe that this is a part of my life. But let's talk about it. So, back in the days, well, I guess some people still are matching in the DMs, but when I met this person, who is my ex fiance, I met him because he reached out to me in my DMs. Okay. My DMs. All right. So at first, like, he wasn't necessarily my type, but he had a vibe about him. And I was like, you know what? I'm open to getting to know who this person is. Because at that time, so many people were like, oh, you can find love in the DMs. You could do all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, if I find my love in the DMs. Because at that time, I'm like 26, 27. And I'm thinking, I'm getting too old. I'm getting old, and like, this is about the time that I should find love. And, what if this is God's way? What if this is God's way of sending me my love? Honestly, I've always had a really, really good relationship with God, a very personal relationship with God. I grew up in church, but like my personal relationship with God, it's elite. I'm gonna just say that right there. There's nothing that anyone can say, do, or even like try to judge me on, because I just know and feel God so deeply in my everyday. And I've always had a relationship with God. So I was like, this must be God. This must be God sending me over someone who really understands me. And at the time, although I was the flaws of Couture, by the way, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Sasha. You can also call me Flaws. I'm still getting used to YouTube, so I should have probably done that at the beginning, but welcome. You should probably subscribe right now because the tea is about to get hot, okay? Subscribe, be here, be a part of the family. We're going places, and major places. Back to what I was saying. So, yeah, I was like, this must be God, right? At the time, I was Flaws of Couture. I had already been a designer, all of that. Not to the point of which I am right now, but I had already been online for a good six years or so. So I was always very weary of who I spoke to, but at the same time, I was open to it because, I'm a public figure. A lot of people know me for body confidence and self love. I preach a lot of message about self love and loving yourself and liking your body and liking who you are. And I'm still very much that person. But at that time, I was very, very much all of that. So when he reached out to me, I felt like he was saying all the right things and was complimenting me in ways that I had never experienced from anyone else. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's going to make sense later when I start answering y'all's questions. Okay. So, a lot of the reason why I felt really pulled towards him was because I felt like he really appreciated me for who I was, like my body, confidence, and like being a plus size woman, and like not trying to like low key tell me that I need to lose weight and all kinds of stuff. I felt like he saw me, right? So, of course, because I was never used to being cared for in that way, I wanted more. I wanted more. Here I was, 27. I believe I was 27, yeah. About 27. Here I was, 27. Um, I had also, like I said, I grew up in the church. So I didn't have a ton of relationships. I've had some types of relationships, and we'll talk about those in another video. But at that time, like, I also never really had many sexual experiences with men. So it was all very new to me. Here I was, this guy who like is so into me. He is from the United States of America. That answers some questions because a lot of people were like, what's his ethnicity? What's his background? He was from the United States of America. And if anybody knows anything about the perception that we have as Canadian women, especially Torontonian women from Toronto, we have this perception in our mind that as long as you find a man from over the border, so over in the United States of America, it's probably going to be a much better experience. Well, honey, I got something to tell you. Nothing I got saw. Okay? Nothing I got saw. Maybe for some, but that was definitely not my case. We're getting into this world of, we really like each other. And I am a very impulsive type of girl. And I know this now, before I just felt like it was love. Now I realize that it's just Gemini. I literally felt so into him that I had to see him. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to explore this idea of me finding this love that lives all the way in Washington D.C. And explore that. And because I was an entrepreneur from a very young age, well, I was still a server. Don't get me wrong. I served for 12 years straight through, like, building my brand. I still had the flexibility from my side hustle, but also from serving. Like, I would take off a couple days and I would find my ass over there because I just felt like I'm going to uh, give myself a chance when it came to love, right? Especially as a big girl, especially as a black girl. I was like, if there's love just a 45-minute flight away, honey, we serving these tables this weekend so that we could go out to DC and meet this love of our life. So also, if any of you guys know anything about long distance relationships, you can feel so much closer to that person than any person that you would have met, like, in person. Reason being, you spend a lot of time on the phone, and because you can't rush into sex, you have to know and learn about this person outside of that, right? So what happens is your emotions are so intense because it's like, I've never had sex with this person, I've never kissed this person, I've never done anything with this person physical, but I feel like I know them so deeply. So that is a trap that you can fall into when you're in a long distance anything. But at the same time, there's a beauty of it as well. If you're doing this with the right person, of course, being on the phone with them for hours and hours and learning all their little, like, intricacies could be beautiful for the long run of your relationship. But if you are in a relationship with it might not be the best situation. Might not be. So basically, long story short, you guys, I start going over there. I'm being introduced to family. I realized that the conversation of marriage is happening. We were together for, this will answer another question. We were together for approximately, I want to say, like, just about 2 years, a year and a half before he proposed to me. So, we were not doing the back and forth because at the time he did not have a passport. So, anyways, we were together. And a lot of the questions that you guys left me were there any red flags? Honey, we gonna go through them. There were a ton of red flags, but somehow, some way, your girl was ignoring them. Okay, so basically, we're together. We're going. I can't even say back and forth. I'm the only one traveling to the United States of America to see him, which wasn't really a problem for me because any chance that I could get the fuck, any chance that I could leave Canada for a little bit of something new, I was taking it. So I wasn't too pressed that he couldn't come up. But at the same time, I was a little bit pressed because it was like, honey, the money, right? I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, what do you mean the money? Wasn't he paying for it? He wasn't. He wasn't. Okay, call me a bird. Call me a BIRD. Do whatever you have to do to make yourself feel better. But I was young. I was 27 years old. I really, really believed that, like, this person loved me and I loved them. And I just didn't see why, if I had the money, why I wouldn't spend it to go see my man. My man, my man, my man. Right? Mid neck string. Anyways, he proposes to me on a vacation with my friends and my sister. Mind you, he never says anything to my sister at the time. It causes a wedge between her and I in that moment. He asked my parents before because that was the first, I think he gave them a call. Because after he got his passport, he eventually, yes, eventually he gets his passport after a ton of visits for just me going. And then he goes on a walk with my parents. He asks my parents for my hand in marriage. Okay. Mind you, we never had like the official conversation that like I was ready. Right. And I think this is a huge part of the manipulation that a lot of men do. When they want to possess you and have you and do whatever they want to do, they move on their own timing. And they don't think that it's necessary to have like an official conversation that says, hey, like if I propose to you tomorrow, are you ready for that? Like, do you want that? There was no conversation like that. We definitely had conversations of, we want to be married in the future, we want to do things, but in no way, shape, or form was I ready at 20, I believe, 28, about to be 29, to be someone's wife. I wasn't. I thought that I was getting into that area, but I personally wasn't. Either way, that didn't matter to him. He proposes to me in Jamaica on a trip that is for him, myself, my sister, and my friend, my best friend at the time. Two of my best friends. And honestly, you guys, this is the first time I'm actually sharing this. So I'm actually like, guys, I'm on the beach and I'm thinking that we're just going into the water. You know what I mean? This is my first time coming to Jamaica with a man. It was already a lot for me because I'm used to going to Jamaica without a man. And you already know how that goes. So this is the first time I'm with my girls on mine. So I'm like, it's already a lot. Um, but he gets down on one knee on the beach and he asks me for my hand in marriage. I can't even describe to you the amount of emotions that I had. I just remember realizing that I should have been happier. Like, I never imagined that that is how I would feel when the love of my life proposes to me. So he's on one knee, he's like saying he loves me and he wants me to be his wife. And I am excited because I feel like this is what we were taught to feel. At the time, I couldn't quite figure out what I was truly feeling, but I also know now that that is not how you're supposed to feel when someone gets down on one knee and asks you to be their wife. I remember just having so many emotions. I also remember feeling like the vacation was gonna suck after this. It's a terrible thing to say. Um, but I was also like telling myself, I was like coping. I was like, I was so grateful. Look at me using the word grateful because I felt like, oh, this is a gift. When a man wants to marry you and become your husband and give you a ring, like you should be lucky. You should feel blessed. You're black. You're a big girl. You have this American boyfriend proposing to you. He wants to be your husband, and you should be really happy about that. Like there's bear girls, North Gala Road, who wish they could be married and nobody is checking for them in that kind of way. So I was trying to explain myself, say that to myself. Clearly, I feel very different about that now. That's giving very much bird activity. But I was just trying to say to myself, okay, well, you were with this guy anyways. You dated him anyways. Like, eventually you guys are going to be married anyways. So maybe it's not the time that you think it should be. But eventually you were gonna get, married to him anyhow. So that was the type of rationale that I had. That was what was going in the back of my mind. Like everybody was like, congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Oh my god, let me see your ring. Da 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 da. And I was like, huh? Yeah, I'm getting married. Yeah. And in the back of my mind, I was like, am I really gonna do this? Eventually, I just chalk it up to me having jitters. You know, I was like, you're just nervous. This is just a big move in your life. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why you feel this way. Because you love this guy. He's your boyfriend. Obviously, you love him. He's now your fiance. It's a little weird for you. It's a little different. But girl, you finna be fine. You're gonna be just fine. Hey, who tell me that? Who tell me say I would be fine? Honey, I was not. That's me catching you guys up. Eventually, what had happened was I called off the wedding. I gave back the ring, and I'll explain why. Okay, so the questions finally. Well, one of the questions was a story time, so don't get at me. I don't want to hear that. Oh, it took too long to get to the questions. Okay, a lot of people didn't even know that I was engaged to be married, so I had to catch the girls up. And for some of you, I know set on a memory shot because you know I smoke weed like me. Okay, so I had to refresh you. Okay, it's been 5 years. So one of the first questions that I see here that a lot of people have been asking is, were there any signs? Were there any red flags? So if you've seen any signs, what were a few of them? So I'm just putting myself out there so that you one day will not do the same. Okay. The whole point of this video is for you to know a little bit more about me and the mistakes that I've made, but also so that you can look into your current situation right now, or maybe your future situation, or even your past situation, and be like, yeah, never again, or I'm not gonna do that, or Sasha taught me that this is not the way to go. When we were dating, I was probably on to my second visit or my third visit. I want to say second or third visit. And I remember just feeling off about him and his phone. And you guys are probably going to be like, oh my God, are you a phone searcher? I don't believe in phone searching. Do not get me wrong, especially now as like an adult, like over 30. I'm not checking your phone. If I feel a vibe, I'm just gonna go with that. And I always get the truth. God always shows it to me plain, and I don't gotta fight for it. But I also believe that every once in a while, like if there's nothing else that you can do to prove your point and everything in you is telling you, sometimes you gotta open up a phone. Okay. And that's what I was on 5 years ago. So for me, I feel like the reason why I went into his phone was because it was a long distance relationship. When you are in a long distance relationship and you're visiting someone for a couple days, you only have a couple days to figure out what the heck you've been feeling. Anyway, I was feeling certain kind of ways because he was moving type of ways with me. Like my thing is, I realized that I would end up in relationships with people who were mean, like people who were mean to me. But then I realized something, a pattern, that people only got mean to me when other people were involved. And at that time, I didn't know 100%, even though I had been in previous relationships where that was the truth. I didn't really understand myself and like what was actually going on. So I had to snoop. Anyway, basically I'm with him. We're staying at a family home of his, and I just get this vibe that he's just onto something. He's doing something. He's messing around. And you know our intuition. Our intuition is rarely ever wrong. But you know that just stirring feeling in your stomach, like what's going on? The fact that I even had to think to look into his phone, because that's not even necessarily the type of person that I am, showed me that something was up, because why do I even care, right? Anyways, he decides that he is gonna go into the washroom and slip the fuck up. Okay, slipped up, and I felt like it was the only time that I had to go into his phone. So basically, I went into his phone. He left it open in some kind of way or whatever. And when I went into the phone, the first conversation that I saw was a conversation with another woman. And she was sending nudes. She was talking about she loves him. He's talking about how he loves her, he misses her. Mind you, this is a current conversation, like minutes ago. Like, I miss you, I love you. Titties in the phone, pum pum in the phone, all of the things. Everything where you need to find, me did find it all within that conversation. I literally didn't have to go into any other thing. I just went straight to the conversation. That was the first conversation that was there, and it was all that I needed to know. Now, mind you, I'm in a completely different country. I'm a 27-year-old, because honestly, you guys, this was really early into the relationship. Huge red flag. Remember, I'm telling you, this is only like my second or third visit. Okay. So I'm heartbroken because at this time, remember, in the beginning, I'm like, I love this person. Like, I'm speaking to them, like I'm taking my server waitress dollars and I'm gonna get a flight and I'm gonna go and see this man because he loves me so well, and whatever it may be, we're in a relationship, I adore him, whatever it may be. So when I went into that conversation and I saw all of that, I was mortified. Like, I remember feeling so hurt. Like, I just remember feeling so alone. And I remember feeling like, wow, like, wow, like, what did I do to deserve that? I feel like I'm a great girlfriend. I put in a lot. I fly all the way from another country to be here with you. And you're really maintaining another, like, it seems to me, some type of relationship. I was shook. I was really, really shook. But at the same time, I was like, niggas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, but I was hurt. Anyway, I confront him about it. And here comes the next red flag. I get into his car. I'm kind of giving him the silent treatment. Now that I'm older, I hate that. I'll never do that to someone that I love. But I mean, I gave him the silent treatment for a good 3 minutes because I'm Jamaican. I'm gonna cuss you off just now. Jamaican, Toronto hybrid. I'm cussing you. So we're in the car and I basically confront him. I'm like, I saw this, this, and this. I can't believe that you would do that to me. And instead of him saying, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry, like, which is what I expected him to do, he fixed his mouth and said to me, well, if you were taking care of your man the way you were supposed to, maybe he wouldn't have to go and be talking to other women. Y'all, y'all, I should have known right then and there, because it's like my ancestors were probably turning in their graves. God bless them. Because why didn't I tell him to go? Father, I am renewed. Why didn't I tell him to go suck something with stink? That's what I'm thinking nowadays. But I literally took it to heart. I was like, it's like I knew that that was not the response that someone who was in the wrong should have given. But a part of me was like, oh my God, is this true? Like, of course, in the moment, I was like, wow, like, I can't believe you would say that. But in the back of my mind, he planted a seed in my mind that said, you're not good enough. Just what you were suspecting is true. You're not good enough. That's why he's with this other girl, or that's why he's talking to this other girl. That's why this other girl is sending him pictures, and this is why he loves and misses her, because you are not doing a good job. You are not being thorough. You are not having sex well. You are not, putting in what you're supposed to put in. That's why he feels like he needs to go elsewhere. that little seed was planted in the back of my mind. And even though I knew it was false, it was starting to grow its roots. It was starting to grow its roots. And that is why being in a relationship with these guys prematurely, not a good idea. All the time when I'm speaking to 20 somethings, I always say, I'm not saying that you can't find the love of your life and be married and have kids and all that stuff. I'm just saying it's not ideal. You need to learn who you are before you add one of these manipulative mothers to the table, to your life, because they can really, if you do not have a strong backing, and if you don't know who you are, and if you don't truly have a strong figure in your life to remind you, or even a relationship with God or whatever it is that you believe in, you will believe these men or women or whoever it is, or these people. You will believe them when they tell you that you're not good enough, all to deflect from the fact that they are not good enough. You feel me? So, first red flag was that he cheated. Second red flag is that he tried to make it my fault that he cheated. I would say that those are the major red flags. Another red flag that I ignored um, earlier on was the fact that he was in a rush for everything, right? I personally, I was still growing, and now that I'm older, I also realize that, like, it's important to speak to people about what your timeline is and what you want to do and whatnot. And I had a tendency of going with what people wanted rather than what I wanted. And he was in a rush for everything. Another red flag was he really wanted to live in Canada. Okay? Not not him using me for papers. Good girl like me for papers. Okay? He would say that a lot. And a part of me was like, he just wants a new environment. Americans at the time were speaking a lot about Canada being like the best place ever. And I think that he just felt like he had a way in, easy peasy, because his girlfriend, aka his fiance, um, was Canadian. And so by marriage, he'd be able to be here easy peasy and vice versa. So I felt like that was a red flag that I ignored a lot, because I feel like he was pressed about it. If it was just like a low key, like, oh yeah, new life in Canada, let's see how it goes, then maybe I could be like, yeah, he's like, he's open to either. But he was like, oh, Canada, 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 Canada. And I'm just like, wait till you start pay taxes. But, that was another red flag. Oh my God. There were other red flags. So obviously, I was a dumb bitch and I stayed with him, right? Because this was the love of my life. I'm going to give him another chance. Eventually, after he blamed me for cheating, for him cheating on me, he later down the line tried to make things right, apologize, and get us back on the right track. So obviously, I allowed that to happen because he proposed later down the line, etc. So I think another red flag was that he was very mean. He was mean to me. And I remember him constantly saying to me, "Oh, I don't want to be with a person who is soft like this. Like, I need a woman who's going to be tough." And I remember trying to make myself more durable. Like, I remember saying to myself, this is a character flaw, Sasha. Like, yeah, he's right. Like, you're too soft. Like, certain things shouldn't make you feel away. But now with maturity, I realize that sensitivity is a part of who I am. I am tough when I need to be. But when I have a partner, I don't want no rough nigga. Point blank, period. I don't want a man who feels like he has to be tough with me in order to love me. We are not compatible. Now I know this at the age of 32, but when I was 27, 28, I was thinking, oh, you know what? Yeah, let me stop making him feel bad. Like I would cry and then he would be like, that's making me feel bad. And I'm like, well, I'm crying because I feel bad. And I'm crying because I'm hurt. So that was another red flag for me, that like my emotions and like how I felt was not really taken into true consideration because I was chopped up to be just too sensitive. Red flag. Okay. Because I've dated men now later in life. I'm still young. I hate when I say later in life, but later than 27, um, who love that about me. And I didn't really understand that that could ever be. So, you know, when you're now dating and you are with someone that you really like, and they're like, I love that you're sensitive. I love that, you know, you cry when you feel things deeply. That is like a whirlwind for me because I was once in a space where I felt like I needed to like suck it all up because I didn't want to make someone else feel bad for my emotions. Another red flag was closer to the end of our relationship. There was a friend that he had. So he all of his friends, pretty much for the most part, like if they were in the vicinity, I was gonna meet them. I was meeting them. I was, you know, hanging out with a one two, not too many, but like, you know, the people who he says have been in his life for forever, or the people that he constantly speaks about. And one of the biggest red flags for me was the fact that there was this one friend that he never would introduce me to. And I had asked him time and time again, I'm not the nagging type. I'm not a nagger. Okay. I'm a very, I like to observe the situation. Not the, what is that? Not fucking construction right now. Back to the red flag. The main red flag. The main red flag closer to the end of our relationship was the fact that he would never introduce me to this woman. This woman who he was close with at work. Their friendship, you know, left work and like became just like an everyday friendship. And he would be at her house from time to time. So I'd be over in Canada, he'd be over at her house. But he never had a problem introducing me to anybody else. But he had, I don't want to say a problem, but he never introduced me to, well, no, he had a problem because at some point I was putting the pressure down. I was like, I need to meet the bitch. And if I don't meet her, I'm me and you in here. So basically like he would be like, no, like there's no issue with this girl, she's just my friend, she blah blah blah, you know, the whole cock and bull story, the whole bag of lies. Okay, but I knew that 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 I knew in my spirit, in my gut, in my fupa, in my pum pum, in my heart and in my mind and in my soul, I knew something was up. Because what is the reason, sir? Why do I know everyone else, but I can't know this one girl? Let's call her Melissa. How come I can't know Melissa? Oh no. What is the problem? So that, you know, was something written down in my book of what the fuck is going on, right? Her name was written down and that situation was written down because there's no real way to really find out this information, especially when you're in a long distance relationship, unless you start doing the real investigation. And I got into a point where I became an investigator. I remember one of my flights back home. So basically, he dropped me back home. He dropped me to the airport so that I could go back home, right? And I remember going into the airport early in the morning, that airport saying, oh, the flight is delayed. You guys are not going to be able to get out of here until tomorrow. So I remember half of me was like, oh my God, that's flipping annoying because I have a job and I need to get back home and it's a 45-minute flight. What a plan de, right? But then the other half of me was so excited. Any long distance relationship person knows that an extra day because the flight is not going to be there is like a gift to a long distance relationship couple, right? Like that's like a gift. For me to call you back and say, turn that car around, baby. I got an extra day in this bitch. That is like a long distance relationship dream. Okay. So I remember calling him, and literally they knew that they weren't going to fly us out. Literally, probably an hour, not even an hour, half an hour after I got there, they were like, yeah, so these are vouchers. This is what you can do. We're not flying you back to Toronto today. Call your people or go into a hotel, whatever. So I'm calling my nigga. It's only been half an hour. And the drive from his place to the airport was about a half an hour ish. So I'm like, he's probably still on the road. It's really early morning. I was already worried that he was bringing me there because, when someone is tired, like for them to be driving in those very woody areas, not a lot of lights, I was like really nervous. So I remember calling him and I was like, um, trying to get a hold of him. Couldn't get a hold of him. Could not get a hold of him. Calling him down, texting him down. All the possible ways that we know how to get a hold of each other, I'm using them. So I'm nervous because I'm like, oh my God, like, what if his car like spun out because he was tired? What if his car spun out in one of those really dark areas? Like, what if something's wrong with him? It's really early in the morning. What if like something is going down? So I remember like after not hearing him for over an hour, I was like, okay, I need to call his family just to let them know. You know what I mean? Plus, I'm stranded at the airport. My man lives here. I don't know what move I should make. Is he okay? Is he hurt? Am I going to stay with him? Like, what? I just want to find him and make sure that he's okay. So, when I tell you guys, we searched, I called his aunt, I called his cousin, I called his friends. Okay. We tried to figure out where he was. The next step was calling the police. There was one more aunt that I wanted to go to. So I knew one of the address to one of his aunts that lived really, really close by to the airport. And he like goes there a lot. So I was like, let me let me call her. We don't talk quite often, but let me call her. I know that if anything is going down, like she'll be able to help in some kind of way because she knows him like she knows him. So I call her, I tell her, listen, I'm so worried. I feel like something might have happened. I have an extra day here. I just want to make sure that he's okay. I don't know. Guys, let me tell you, when I realized that I couldn't get a hold of him and that I thought that he was missing, half of me, like, no, 70% of me was like, what if something happened to him? Like, I really need to figure out if he's okay. But 30% of me was like, that bitch Melissa. He with that bitch Melissa. I bet you he's with Melissa. So, but I'm like, nah, there's no way that I'm calling my man of extra dear literally like 28 minutes after he drops me off and I can't find him. What a man gone. Something must have happened to him. Something must have happened to him. So I'm worried. I'm not letting that 30% weigh me. That 70% that is truly worried for his well-being and his life is kicking in because I'm like, bro, if I'm thinking that this man is playing around cheating and meanwhile a whole friggin' I don't know moose just walked into the middle of the road and stepped on his car, I'm gonna feel like a piece of shit, right? So eventually I realized I'm gonna go and meet his aunt, the one who lives close by, who knows him really, really well. I'm gonna go to her house because I have her address, right? I'm gonna go to her house because I have nowhere else to go. I'm gonna go to her house. Mind you, her house is in the hood. Okay? Love her. If she ever sees this, I love you. Love y'all. But that's the mother hood. Okay? Hood. Places you're not supposed to be really walking in just so, right? And I'm not saying that because I'm like this up valley, like Toronto Canadian girls. We got hoods over here too. And I'm Jamaican. I know the hood. Wherever I'm at, I know where the hood is. Okay? And I have all my things. And I'm just breathing a word of prayer because I said, Lord, if anybody take my bag, anybody come and take my bag, me done, me done, me done, me done. But whatever, I get in there. Okay? So I get in there now. Mind you, oh my God, I never called her before I got there. I just went there with her address because I didn't have her number. Okay. So I got an Uber. Uber dropped me off to her address in the hood. So I go to her house and I'm like, I've been trying to reach him for almost like an hour and a half to 2 hours now. I'm very, very worried. The other aunt is also calling. She's thinking that the next move is the police. All of his friends have not heard from him. They don't see his car. His car is not at their house, which is the house that we stayed at. Don't know where he is. He's not at work. Don't know where he is. We're terrified. So I say to her, can you give him a call and see if you can get him? Bitch. Girl, one ring. One ring. Okay? One ring. And I knew that she was the perfect person to go to because throughout our whole relationship, he talked about how important she was to him and in relation to his family. And I'm not going to get into that because that's their business. But I knew that if I went to her house, something in the back of my head was like, I bet you any money if I tell her to call him, he'll pick up her call. But if something's wrong with him and if he doesn't pick up her call, then we really need to call the police, right? So I'm like, can you call him? She calls him in front of me and he picks up the phone and he's like, hello. And she's like, we've been looking for you. Like, what's going on? Where are you? Are you okay? Is everything all right? He's like, yeah. She takes him off a speaker. He's like, yeah, he's all right. He's at his friend's house because he was tired and he needed to stop off. Okay? So if you're at your friend's house and you were tired and you needed to stop off, why you couldn't answer the phone when your fiance is calling? Why you can't answer the phone when your family is calling you down? What's the problem? Okay. So that also solidified a lot for me in that moment. I remember he came, he picked me up. He was like, he was tired. He just had to sleep and he didn't want to, like, doze off while sleeping. And so he just went over to that person's house, Melissa's house. Okay. And I remember being so through in my mind, but I just didn't realize that I was done. Like I just was collecting all of the little pieces that would help me bring myself to the conclusion that this is not your nigga. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not the person that she should be with. This was just like another notch on that list. You know, when people are talking about reasons why they should never have a baby and they're like, where's the girl with the list? Where's the girl with the list? This is number 397 why I should never have a child. That was me. I was like, this is number 97 of why this nigga cannot be my husband. But even through that, I was still in my mind trying to convince myself that I can't be one and done or two and done or three and done with people. Give him a chance. He loves me, etc. People already know that we're in a relationship. At this point, my family had already thrown us an engagement party. So people had given gifts. People were giving cards with money, etc. Not a lot. Let's be for real. But my family and friends already had done an engagement party for us, everything, the whole shebang. So I had a lot of pressures on me, and I was saying, like, like, who does that? Like, I was in the back of my mind, I was like, do you call it all off? Like, do you not do this anymore? Um, like, do you not do this anymore? And I was like, no, Sasha, you can't do that. Like, you have it on social media, you have it on YouTube, you have it on Instagram, you have photos, the whole engagement. You just had an engagement party. So many people came and supported you. Some people even gave gifts, some people even gave money. Like, your friends are involved, so many people are involved. So all of these things, all of these pressures were literally weighing on me. They were on my shoulders. And for a very long time, I honestly believe that that's what kept me with him as long as I was. I was just like, there's no way that I can start this journey online and then end with I called off the engagement and called off the wedding. Anyways, we're planning details. of everything. And through all of the planning with all the details of like, trying to, figure out where we're going to get married, and we're going to do it in the States, we're going to do it in Canada, we're going to do both. All of this is going on. And I'm like, what am I doing? So one of the questions was it a mutual decision? I wouldn't say that it was a mutual decision in the beginning. I was made to feel really bad for the decision that I made. And during the time that I made it, and I had to really, really, really force myself to be okay with making that decision by myself. I did not have the support of anyone because I was so embarrassed about the situation that I kept it from everyone. I kept it from family. I kept it from my friends. There's probably like a 1, 2 friend that knew, and they only knew after the fact. Because I've even spoken to one of my besties like years, after everything, and she was like, it breaks my heart that you were going through that by yourself. And it's just amazing to me that I just didn't feel like I could share it because I felt so unsure, but also defeated, you know? So it was something that I had to handle on my own. And honestly, I don't regret not sharing it with everyone because I feel like I'm able to move on from it so much easier because I didn't put everybody, like, I already brought people onto like the happy part of it, the happy part of it. I didn't also want to have them involved in all of the messy part of it. Or I felt like not having them involved would make it so that I would make sure that it wasn't messy, if you get what I mean. I just wanted it to be between him and I, and us know that this is not going to happen anymore. This is not working, and I got to go. And I had to stand my ground on that. That is also why, you guys, I am such a firm believer in women who leave. If you see any of my quotes, hopefully I'm able to pop one in here somewhere. But one of my most viral quotes is something along the lines of, I just love a woman who leaves. I am obsessed with women who leave because there are so many women who just do not have the strength, who do not have the support, or do not have the belief system inside them to allow them to walk away from anything that does not serve them. Me, one thing about me, honey, I'm finna go. Okay? I will love you with all of my flipping heart. But from when you show me set, you're not good for me, and you're about to pull down everything that God has already stacked up so beautifully in my life, you better believe I'm out. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but it's going to be real soon. So if you don't get your ducks in line, sis is out. And I love a woman who can stand on her worth, who can say, this is not what I need, this is not what I want, this is not what I deserve, and I'm out. There is something so powerful and liberating about that. And so I want to encourage you, if you are that person right now and you're in a situation where you know it's not rising up to meet you, it's not making you a better person, it doesn't make you feel loved and supported, it is clearly something that is just not what you've ever wanted, I'm encouraging you and I'm challenging you, sis, to get up and go. Pick your shit up and go. And you don't have to do it in a rush. You can like put your things together little by little and really just bet on yourself. You will find better. I had this thing in my mind that made me believe that this was the best that I could get. And I know what a lot of people say. People are probably like, you, Flaws of Couture, the one and the only, the Flaws of, yeah, me. Because a lot of my self-confidence came from faking it. Let's be real. We could have a conversation about that in a whole nother video about how to be confident. But the reality is, a lot of us have convinced ourselves before we truly believed that we were beautiful, worthy, gorgeous, sexy, all of these things. I lied to myself for years until I believed it. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, I didn't like what I see, I would look in the mirror and say, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful. And then now in my life, I literally know now because I taught myself that, right? I say that to say that I didn't actually believe that I was worthy of better at the time, right? Now I know that I'm worthy and I know that I can have so much better because I've experienced so much better. And that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of not rushing to be in a relationship or be anybody's wife or husband or whatever it may be before the time, because there's so much you still need to learn about yourself. I had no business being in a relationship with a man at all at that time in my life. But I definitely didn't have any business being with a man who was going to make me feel bad about myself, sad about myself, or not worthy. Simply. It's just, no, I'm not putting up with that. I'm not interested in that. And I know that now. So, to answer your question, it was not mutual, but eventually it became mutual because he realized that there was nothing there left. Also, side note, you guys, I really have to say, honestly, like, I know we only spoke about it briefly, but you can get better. You will get better. That little fear in your mind that tells you that you're not good enough, that you don't look the part, that you're too big, you're too dark, you're too black, you're too this, you're too whatever, I'm telling you, it's a lie. Because all of that was in my mind at the back of my head, too. I felt like, let me just get in where I fit in because at least I'll, be able to start a family, be married, have the whole shebang. I went through that stage in my life too. I am not that girl anymore. But I just want you to know, honey, like I have experienced way better men for me since then. I've had way better sex. I've had way better encounters because I know that I deserve it and because I'm just that bitch. Like I'm just that girl. And it's like if you don't recognize that, then that's your loss. And I want you guys to really move with that type of energy because you being you is the biggest flex you could ever have. Okay? You don't want to be like nobody else. You don't even want to be like me. I want to inspire you, but I don't want you to try to be like me. I want you to be inspired to be the best version of you. Because, like I said, you get 100% of the blessings that God has in store for you if you are 100% you. Okay? Don't make you feel bad about it. Don't make no man make you feel like you can never get more than him. You can and you will. Especially if you believe it and you make the steps to achieve it. Okay? So, in other words, leave that hole. Cheers to that. And I don't care how many years either. Because I know one of y'all gonna, oh, but you guys were only together. I don't care. It could have been 5, 10, 15 years. If you're not happy and this person is constantly coming up short, go get you someone who doesn't. Period. Go get you someone who doesn't. And if the people in your area are not fit for you, get on a plane and go somewhere else. That's just it. All right. Okay. So there are many variations of when exactly did you realize you had to call off the engagement? Someone else said, how did you get to that point and know when to call it off? And would you do it again? And would I call it off again? Because hell yeah. Um, or would I get engaged, get married, whatever again? Okay, so when did you realize you had to call off the engagement? Is basically the question. This will lead into another red flag. So I had moved out of my home and I moved in with my best friend at the time and we were living together in a not a condo. We were living together in a townhouse. Two of the best years of my life, to be honest. Freedom from my home, I still live with my parents now, guys. I moved back. I remember coming home from one of the trips that I had at his spot. And I actually, yeah, I actually think it was like after that whole situation of me not being able to find him. I remember going home, being in bed, and just feeling really like not good. And I was like, shit, like, who am I gonna tell? I think my bestie at the time who I lived with, she was like the only person who knew what was going on, right? And I remember saying to myself, like, man, how am I gonna know? So I remember just not feeling good. I just remember not feeling great in myself and just feeling stressed out. And that's just the last thing that an entrepreneur slash full time waitress needs. Like when you're going and working 12-hour shifts a day to, put yourself through life and work on your business and grow your business and pay rent and all that kind of stuff. The last thing you need is like issues from the man that you claims to love you and that you claim to love. And so we already had an engagement party, a surprise engagement party at that. We already went through all of those stages. We were like literally low key doing the paperwork and everything to get it fast tracked so that he could live in Canada. So that whole marriage thing on the back end, like we were like really pushing through. And I just remember the last time that he was at my house, he, was really almost violent, almost like he wanted to fight me. And I could see it in his eyes that it's like the only reason why he wasn't fighting me was because I was a woman, but not because he didn't want to fight me. Like, and I just didn't understand why or how did I end up in a relationship with a man who wants to beat me up? Like, why am I in a relationship with a man who's so angry that it seems like if he could, he would thump me down? And I was like, I'm too loving for all of that shit. Anyways, I registered, put that in the back of my mind, right? But I remember coming back from the trip where we couldn't find him. And I remember getting under my sheet. Like I can literally see it right now. I was under my nice white duvet in my room. And I remember praying to God. I remember saying to God, Father, please show me any sign. Show me every sign and any sign. I just need you to show me what I need to see in order to feel free enough to leave. I remember praying and saying, Father, I thank you for the signs. I thank you that they will be clear and written on the wall. I thank you that it will give me such a relief. As soon as I see it, I will know that it's time. I thank you in advance. I kid you not. I kid you not. I remember putting the sheet over my shoulder and literally just going to lay down. And of course, you get your phone and you're scrolling. And right after I say that prayer, I'm scrolling, and I go to my DM. I get a message from someone whose at name I'm familiar with. I don't follow this person, but I know this person through him. So in my requests, I see this message pop up and I realize that it's his like childhood bestie. Now I've met this person and this person, I've spoken to this person over the phone. They're cool, they got kids, and it's all love. It's, there's nothing crazy. We're not besties or anything, but it's all love. And I know that it's a woman, but I know that they've been friends since they were children. No problems there, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is really a true friendship. Bruh, I'm gonna open up the message. Remember, I'm in bed and I just said the prayer. I just said the prayer because I was so sad, you guys. Like, I was so depressed because I was like, oh my God, I am about to get married to this person who doesn't like me. And I really don't like him. Like, I love him, but I don't like him as a person. And there's been a ton of red flags that I've been ignoring. But he claims that he loves me. We've already done everything. Everyone already knows. I'm about to get married to this person. Father, release me. Okay? So I go into the conversation now. I see a long message that she sends me. Long story short, sis comes and tells me that that man owes her money. And she's tired of his ass. I don't even want to tell you guys how much money. Because if I tell you the amount, that might just be embarrassing for him. And I'm really not trying to embarrass him. First of all, you guys don't even know. Most of y'all don't even know who this person is. So he should be fine. If you go harping now, then everybody gonna know your business. She says that he owes her money and that she's had enough. She said, I had it up to here with that nigga. Okay? He owes me X amount of dollars, and he promised that this time he was going to give it back. Mind you, I didn't even know that they were on some borrowing money type situation. That's probably why I was paying for all of my flights and everything else. But she was like, he owes me this amount of money. He knows that I need it for me and my kids. He promised that he was going to get it back for me, and he never did. So I'm about to air out all his shit. I said, Father, what a mighty God we serve. I said, spill the tea, sis. Now let me know, sis. Imagine praying to God for an answer. And moments later, while you're laying on your side, on your good side, there comes an answer. She starts going in. She says, she's basically like, listen, he been living with that girl for 9 months under your nose. The reason why you couldn't get a hold of him that day was because he went back to his house where he lives. He only stays with his other family when you're here to make it seem like that's where he's at. But for 9 months while you were in Canada, bitch, that nigga been living with Melissa. I'm reliving it right now and I'm not triggered. I just think it's so funny. Like, I just can't believe me pick up myself. My good mom and dad raised me up all of these years, and me go pick up myself, my good self, go pick up jalopy from wherever. Anyways, so she's like, he's been living with her for 9 months under your nose. They got 2 bedrooms and she got 2 kids. You do the math. So I was like, oh, so they sleep together. Okay, so it's one of those, like, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, so I'm allowing her to give me all of the tea because I'm like, I want it all, right? Because I just asked God for this, and God is giving it all, right? And I'm like, I want to collect everything that you have for me because this is not even, little does she know, this is not even you, sis. This is God using you to talk to me, right? So she's like, telling me all of the tea. She's basically like, yes, I have, I said, I need receipts, babe. Like, you got text messages, you got whatever. She's like, yeah, because I'd be over there with them. I've had conversations with them, I've blah 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 blah, whatever. She sent me some text messages between them and her and the girl Melissa and him and whatever over the course of months. And I remember having that conversation with her, babe, and literally hanging up the phone, taking the sheet that I had, pulling it over my shoulder, laughing hysterically, and having the best sleep that I had in two years. I never have had a sleep more sound and peaceful than the sleep that I had after I read that message and had that conversation with his bestie. I was just so overwhelmed because, and this is why, sometimes you're talking to people about God and they're like, oh, you don't know. You don't know. That's okay. You don't know. God, me, I could never leave the Father out. You want to know why I could never leave the Father out? Because God, the humor, the humor that the King of King has, unlike any comedian me know. Okay? He unmatched, my love. Unmatched. I honestly was like so shook at how fast God answered my prayer. But not only that, so shook at just the whole situation. I was like, oh my God, all the cards are in my hands. I literally get to walk away from this situation that I've been so unsure of, feeling light and not feeling guilty, because my biggest issue was that I would feel bad for people. Until this day, I'm still working on it. You know, breakups are hard for me because it's like I'll feel bad. I'm like, I don't want to leave this person because I understand how much of a gift I am. I'm not your average chick. And I know every girl says that, but I am really not your average chick. I am a beautiful person. And I know that now. Before, I just felt like, yeah, I'm a cool girl, da 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 da. But no, God has lined me with a little extra. I am cut from a completely different cloth. That I know about myself, but that's for me to know because I am me. I should know this about me. There is something that is so natural about me. Like there are natural things about me that people, of course, anyone would want to hold on to that. Anyone would want to be with a person whose heart is like mine, who is beautiful like I am. And I want you guys to know that about yourselves too. But I'm speaking about me. This is not me being bossy or me saying that I'm better than anybody. This is just me knowing me. I am incredible. So I understand why someone would want to hold on to me. But because of that, I also feel really, really bad leaving. This gave me the freedom to walk away because there was such peace that God gave me, a peace that I could not even explain. It's a peace that I can't even explain to you even 5 years later, right now. The release that I felt was incredible. And I wish that on every woman who is in a situation that they're unsure of or a situation that they are afraid to leave. Oh, once you get that information, you take it and you run for your life. You get your shit and you give yourself another chance. Don't even give them a moment to hum and a ha and a this, but this, a ha. Don't even. Because he had a whole cacambo story, but there was nothing you could say to me to convince me that you lying to me about where you live for the last 9 months is that of a man that I should be marrying. There's nothing that you can say that will make me believe that I should give you yet another chance when you've been red flagging since the very beginning. You know, my daylight is going, honey. So I need to move this along. I hope you guys are enjoying. And if you are new here, I really hope that you are enjoying the story time, but also that you're subscribing to the channel. Right now is the time to subscribe, like, turn on your post notifications so that you know when I'm going to be on here. I'm going to be doing more story times if you guys want more story times. But in order for us to know that like this is a mutual relationship, you're going to have to subscribe to the channel, okay? At the very least, I love you, and I'm gonna be bringing you guys some heat. I feel like the heat is already dropping though. Not true. How did your family react when you told them that you called it off? So, till this day, my family and I have never spoken about the fact that I called off that wedding. Without going into too much information, I will say this. I was not impressed by the way that my parents handled certain situations within that time when it came to him and I. Um, and I think they were just being parents. They were just being like, you know, the best parents that they possibly could be. But I still to this day do not feel like they dealt with it the way that I would have really appreciated that they dealt with it. So when it actually did turn up that I was going to, you know, call off the wedding and everything, I just called it off and it was just silent. They just never saw me plan anything. They just never saw me continue. And I think they just figured that we had broken up because there were no more conversations about him, about me and him, about our wedding, whatever. And like, I'm relatively close to my parents because I know that me saying that, you guys are probably like, are you even close to your parents? We're relatively close, but like my mom never grew up saying, "Oh, fall in love and sex talk and romance." And she never like my mom is a hustler. You know what I mean? Yeah, my mom is married and whatnot, but my mom was about education and putting yourself in a great position. Like those were her main messages throughout our life. But love and romance was not really one of them. And so I didn't really know how to come to my parents about that stuff. And I think now that I'm older and maybe in the future, if I indeed end up with a man that I truly, truly love and loves me and is in the right position for each other, then maybe I'll give them another chance. But what that taught me was that um, I needed to lean into myself. And I'm very proud of myself for doing all of this on my own. I haven't gotten therapy for it. And that'll lead into the next question, which is like, how have you healed? And what did you do to do that? But I haven't gotten any therapy. And I definitely do believe that therapy will be great for me. I don't know that I need it for this situation because the situation is clear. Okay, it was really clear for me, right? I don't need anyone to tell me that I was in a bad situation, because I know that I was in a bad situation and I was in an untrue, dishonest relationship. And yeah, like I just needed time. So okay, yeah, that answers that about my family. How did they feel about it? It was like, and even with my siblings, like I think my little sister, I spoke to my little sister, my older sister about it, and they were like, okay, like one of my sisters really liked him. Um the other one didn't care. So it was like whatever, and we moved on, and I just didn't really want to talk about it because I had some stuff to do. I had a brand to build. And like here we are. Can you imagine that if I had allowed myself to go through with that and have this person torment my life for I don't even know if I would have the things that I have right now. Cuz these things are distractions, you guys. They are distractions. So if you're not with the right person, that distraction can literally veer you off of a perfect, not a perfect, but veer you off of your path. The relationships with the wrong people can literally change the trajectory of like what could have been for you. That's why it's so important to be picky. Now I'm picky. Like I cannot be with someone who is not going to empower me and add to what I have going on. If you're taken away, baby, sorry, hun. What steps did you take to heal and how long did it take? Do you still keep in contact with him? So no, I do not keep in contact with him. What steps did I take to heal and how long did it take? Um One step that I took to heal was getting under another man immediately. And that's me being honest. It didn't take me long to get over him because like I said, I was right under another man. Okay? And I didn't grow up like that. Like I never grew up having multiple boyfriends or like just going from, nigga to nigga, not that that's a problem, or from man to man, sorry. Not that that's a problem, right? If that's how you do it, that's how you do it. But that's not how I grew up. I remember I told you I grew up in the church, right? And even though I've had some different, unconventional relationships in the past, I really wasn't someone who just like hopped from person to person. Like I didn't have people lined up. I never knew the idea of a roster. Like that was something that I learned after breaking up with him. But when I did break up with him and when it was like official that we were like done, yeah, I had to go and figure out if what he was telling me was true. Like we struggled with our sexual relations, and I truly believe that we struggled with our sexual relations because he was having them with other people. I can't say that as a fact, but let's be fucking for real, okay? Um and there were times where he would throw it back on me and he would make me feel like something was wrong with me. So because I wasn't experienced, because I was that church kid, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I smell. Maybe I, am not like my hygiene isn't. I was trying to figure out everything. I would put on lingerie. I would do everything. I was trying to figure out everything. And I know that he was having sex, like, but he just wasn't having it with me at a certain point. So when we broke up, I rang up an old friend, and he was waiting for me at the door. And I just wanted to like be embraced, feel like what it was like to like actually have a healthy sexual relationship. And this is me being honest with you guys. And honestly, that helped me because once I realized that it wasn't me and that I was capable of actually having a really good like relationship, even in that respect, I was like, oh, there ain't nothing wrong with you, girl. You just need to be with somebody else when the time is right. And I told myself that I wasn't going to be in a relationship for a while, but I wanted to experiment and see like what I like and whatnot. And it really helped. So, outside of that, of course, I'm always praying. I mean, there's some people who will be like, girl, you haven't sex, but you praying, da da da. Hey, worry about your relationship with God. My relationship with God, we got something going on. So, yeah, like outside of like constantly talking to God, constantly asking God to show me the way, constantly asking God to guide me, protect me, and just give me peace, getting under another guy was like those were my ways that I healed. I think that, do I feel like I could get additional healing? Of course. Therapy, I should probably go to therapy so that none of these things show up later down the line in other relationships. um but for the most part, my heart feels light. I don't think about this situation very often, which is why like it took me 5 years to let you guys know about it. um but yeah, like I've healed by just being involved in things, going out, putting my mind back into my business full time. My business was my baby. I would always say my business is my boyfriend before I met him. My business is my boyfriend. My business is my boyfriend. And I just got back to that. I got back to like putting all of that extra attention and love and whatever into my brand. And honestly, it shows. It really, really does show. So I just focused in on business, focused in on God, and focused on getting some drip. Do you ever catch him lurking on your page, or has he congratulated you on all your accomplishments? I don't catch him lurking on my page, but I wouldn't catch anyone lurking on my page because I just don't care about that shit. Like I don't. Like I don't care who watches. Like you could be like someone who hates me. I don't care. Like I'm never gonna be searching for whether you're in my views or not. Cause like I got too much going on. Too many social media platforms, too many businesses, too much money to make. Don't care. Um, and you gonna see me. No matter where. By the grace of God, you gonna see me. Has he congratulated you on all of your accomplishments? He's congratulated me. Like we've had like a cordial conversation for the sake of like, just cleaning up certain things. Um, and he has congratulated me. He has said, you know, very briefly, really happy for you and everything that's happened for you. And I've said the same because great things have happened to him as well. And great things are happening for him. And I love that. I love that. Like, I'm not trying to say that we got to be beefing. No, I am happy that, everybody has moved on with their life and that they are doing the things that they truly want to do. Because I know that I am. And I only want the best for people. So I think this is going to be the last question. I hope that the story time answered all of the questions. I didn't literally answer them just bullet by bullet. I kind of just gave you a story time and answered all of the questions that you asked. So hopefully you guys feel fulfilled with that, because this gonna be the last time we talk about that their engagement slash marriage. Okay. Or wedding. So why did I give back the ring? I gave back the ring because he asked for it. Okay. He asked for it back. And I know a lot of people are like, ew, like, why would a guy ever ask for it back? Well, honestly, I'd probably ask back for my things. So I don't wrong him. It's not like the ring was it was a beautiful ring. Don't get me wrong. It was a beautiful ring, but it's not like, you know, I could have pawned it for a good amount of money or anything. I mean, if he needed it more than I did, I was happy to give it back. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, one of those. I want the next time that I'm proposed to, that, because it will be by, hopefully, I pray that it is by a man who truly listens to me and does not try to rush me for his own agenda. I pray that, like, I want a man who's gonna get down on his knee and ask me to marry him, and I want that ring to be like the only ring that's ever been there, the only ring that I've ever had for this type of thing. And I don't want to have one in my jewelry box from some other man. You know what I mean? I want to be like, this is my first true engagement ring. You know? Hopefully I answered all of the questions. Wait, what was your biggest struggle moving on from after the breakup? People trying to hold me in that situation. Like, I even had friends who were kind of like sneaky with how they would say things. They'd be like, "Well, you are engaged. Well, you are like." They would just say like things that, like, but at the same time, I can't blame them because I didn't share everything with them, right? But I feel like once I did share it with them and I was like, "Listen, this is a part of my past. I'm not interested in it anymore. It's done." The people who try to remind you of that time and try to keep that time present in your life, even when you've clearly said, this is done, this is over, this is no longer this didn't even happen, this is not a thing. And they're kind of like, well, technically, like, that was probably my biggest hurdle, because I would have to kind of almost challenge myself not to cuss them off, and just to be like, okay, well, that's not who I am, and that's not what the situation is anymore. So, you know, so I think that was probably my biggest hurdle. But I also feel like I was able to move through this very easily because I didn't give my business to everybody, right? I just and I recommend, I recommend, as much as we want to, like, just blah 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 blah. That's not the best thing to do, especially when you want to be able to move like a silent assassin. You know what I mean? If you're just jabbering, talking all the time, people will always be talking about your business, and you won't be able to move the way you want to move, because people are going to be like, but didn't you say, and isn't he, and da da da. Nobody could do that with me, because my business, a film business. And look, 5 years later, the people still want to know what the tea is, right? And I get to share it on my terms. And I love that for me, because that's how I do it. Period. Period, poo. Ew. You know when the Starbucks inclusions are just all mush? All right, guys. So that is the reason that I called off my wedding once and for all. This is the reason why I gave back the ring once and for all. And I hope that what you get from this video is that you should always listen to your gut. Always listen to that little voice inside of you, that intuition, God, however you see it. Listen to that voice inside of you, and always bet on yourself. Never feel like you can't get better. That thought inside that says you cannot get better than this person, it's a lie. And the minute you start telling yourself that, mark it as the moment that you should know it's time to go. Go and prove to yourself that you can get better, and work on yourself constantly, and give yourself a chance constantly, and never allow anyone to make you feel as though you are not enough. Never, 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 never. And don't let anybody rush you either. If you are a 20 something watching this and you are thinking that you need to be married and you need to have kids and you need to have, girl, I just want you to know that is not the truth. That is the furthest thing from the truth. And yes, if that's what you want for your life, if you like it, I love it. Okay. But I want you to know that life gets so much better after your 30s. And I could do a video about it. Okay. Life gets so much better after your 30s. You know yourself so much more. And anyone that you pick during that time, I truly believe will be the best version for you, or the best type of person for you, for the version that you are now. So take your time. And whether you're, and even if you're not in your 20s, say you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s watching this, because I have a beautiful audience of people from all walks of life at all ages. Whether you've been with this man for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whether you are in your 60s or your 50s and you feel like you can't get better, you can get better. You can, and you deserve. And one thing that I also told myself too is that I don't love companionship with other people more than I love peace within myself. I would also still rather be by myself and happy than be in a relationship with someone who literally takes from me and doesn't put anything back. You feel me? So I just want to say thank you for being here for my story time. I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know if there's anything else that you want to see. And I think that you should drop all the questions that you have down in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, I mean, like, you made me tell off my whole business and you're not subscribed. Do you know how disrespectful that is to a Toronto man? Don't do those things. Not do them. Don't do them. Don't do it. Subscribe, comment, turn on your post notifications. If you can give this video a thumbs up, I would like be so grateful to you for that. I love you guys. And honestly, even if you don't feel like it's a subscribe thing right now, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this video. And I pray that God just continues to bless and keep all of you guys. So until our next video, I love you.